Okay, there you go. All right, if you could state your name and birth date.
My name is George E. Gray, Jr. My birth date is December 14th, 1947.
All right, and I'm Casey Taylor, and I will be interviewing Mr. Gray. Can you tell me when you came to Ashland?
60 years ago, I was born here.
Okay. Were your parents originally from Ashland as well?
My mother is originally from Ashland. My father is originally from Caroline County.
Okay. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I'm the only child.
Only child. What was something that you did as a child here in Ashland?
Well, I always was in the church. My mother was a musician, was an organist for a lot of the churches in here at Shiloh for 30 years, and over 30 years. And I've always played guitar, drums, and when she would go around, I would, as young as 6 and 7 years old, I would be playing the drums.
Do you still play the drums?
No, I play, well, I went from the drums to lead guitar, and then from the lead guitar to sax. And then now I've been playing bass guitar since I'm about 64, 1964. So I play bass now with the gospel group.
Okay. And what did your dad do?
My dad, well, he grew up, as I said, in Caroline County, and then he went into the military. He was in World War II.
Okay.
And then he worked for Jacob and Levy's men's clothing store for 27 years. That's where he retired from, in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. Do you have any stories from the war that your dad ever gave you?
Oh yeah, quite a few. He was in the European theater. He was overseas, and you know, he only told me about. He was a corporal, and he used to do guard duty and, you know, military police duty, and just how hard it was in World War II. You didn't have the, you know, didn't have what they have now. The comforts, you're almost at home in war, but back then, you know, they lived in tents, and they traveled. I think on a boat going over to Germany, I believe, when he was over there. Yeah, and he has a few, but his stories would be more or less where you could go and where you couldn't go. You know, certain places even in the United States you couldn't go, but you were in the military. Others because of segregation. Okay. You know, even though he was in the military, there were certain places that when they would have time off, you know, you still couldn't, like going to towns, you still couldn't go into certain areas. You had to be very careful, but you still was a, you know, American citizen, and you still fought in the war. And he would tell me things like that. But he was quiet. He's very quiet. He's 90. He'll be 93 in August.
Oh, okay. Does he go to this church as well?
No, he belongs to Ebenezer Baptist Church in Caroline County. Yeah, he was a trustee there for many years, but you know, as age creeps up on you, you can't do what you could do. So he goes out there. We get him out there every once in a while, but his health is such that he can't get around a lot now. Yeah. My mother belonged to this church, Shiloh.
Okay.
She was born and raised here. Yeah.
And were your grandparents?
Yeah. Yes. My grandfather was Johnny Clinton Winston. My grandmother was Lily Bell Winston, and my grandfather was a deacon here, Sunday school teacher, and he during that time was considered a great singer. He sung bass, the real bass. You know, if you hear a person now, there's sometimes what they call false bass. He sung real bass, and he would travel around the county singing. And his father, Clinton Winston, I think he was involved in the church at its beginning some, but they lived just past there, just west on Hanover Avenue here, about a mile from this church, from Shiloh, just past Shiloh Baptist Church Cemetery. And then they owned, my great-grandfather owned a blacksmith shop. Do you know where the municipal building is right here? The municipal building is one block over.
Okay.
The town hall.
Okay.
Well, he owned a big blacksmith shop there, big house, and we called it Little House. In Clinton, Winston, my great-grandfather lived in a big house, and my grandfather lived in a little house. And they owned a blacksmith shop, and he was the first undertaker here, African-American undertaker. And then he rented rooms for a barber shop and a beauty salon. He was sort of like an entrepreneur back then. And then when he died, Clinton, he gave turned it over to his son, Johnny. Johnny did the same thing until really the automobile came about. Mm-hmm. And Johnny's son, Robert, was in World War II and stationed in California. He never drove, you know, he always used a horse and buggy. So when automobiles came about and the hearse came about, he closed the business because he couldn't afford to first buy an automobile and then have someone to drive it. So he closed the undertaker shop and funeral home, and then he continued to be a blacksmith, you know, shoeing horses and stuff. And he had a heart attack one day down at the blacksmith shop, and then he died several, days later. But that's how he became. Then my mother, he had, my mother and I think it was 7 others. 3 died. Three boys died of whooping cough in the early stages. You didn't have medical facilities or know-how to handle those type of diseases. So 5 of them lived. My mother was the one, Inez Gray, who she still lives up there. My aunt, Mrs. Miller, Eleanor Miller, still lives up there on the estate now. My aunt, Miss Eleanor Miller, was 94 on the 1st of May. My mother's 89.
What is whooping cough exactly?
You got me? I don't know. Okay. But like you have mumps and measles and chicken pox, well, they call it whooping cough. Some people, I forget what there was another word that was used for it. But back then it was deadly. You got it. Like I said, she lost 3 little brothers because of it. It was just something that you had no cure of at that time. Yeah. And when you develop it, you were lucky if you survived it. Yeah. So it was a really bad disease during those years. Yeah.
So you were close with your grandparents when you were younger?
I didn't meet my great-grandfather, nor did I meet my grandfather. They died before my time. But my grandmother, my mother's mother, Lily, she died when she was 94. She raised me, basically. My mother and father were working, and we lived next door. She lived in a home place. My mother and father had their home. And she would come over in the morning and make sure that, I was ready for school. When I would come home in the evening, she would make sure that I was, given something to eat, a snack or something till supper time. And basically, she raised me. As she basically almost did all of her grandchildren. It was 9 of us. She was the matriarch. And Grandma spoke, you listen.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was confined to bed for about 15 or 16 years. She had hardened other arteries, so she lost her sight. She could only see, just see images. She couldn't make it out. She could just see light. But even though she was confined to the bed, my mother and my aunt took care of her. In fact, my mother retired to take care of her. But the grandchildren always assembled there. We always went by to see her. We always sat with her. We always talked with her because she had a lot of wisdom. And if she found out any of the grandchildren did anything wrong at school or got into trouble, all she'd do was speak, and we got straight. She could talk to you, and she was never abrupt, was never mean to us, but Grandma had a strong constitution, a strong voice. And when she spoke, she was like, yeah, Putnam, you listen. That's the way she was. And like I say, everybody was, Grandma was the number one at that time. That's how we learned. That's how we grew up. And even my daughter, who's now 31 and married, when she was little, 2, 3 years old, my mother would go over and spend the night with my grandmother. My daughter would go over and spend the night with grandma, with great grandma, you know. Yeah, and I mean, she loved it. But that's just the way it came up, you know. Everybody rallied around grandma. Yeah, yep.
Did she have any interesting stories she used to tell you?
Yeah, she used to tell us stories. I can't remember. I tell you, I can't remember. But I can remember her. Going out in the yard, especially when it was cold. She would have a sport jacket on and a hat pulled down, and she would go out and she would chop her wood. Now, she had a son that lived there with her, my Uncle Robert, who was the son who was in California, I mentioned. And he worked at night, but he looked out for his mother. He always was there for his mother, but he worked regular. But he made sure wood was on the porch, you know, made sure coal was there when she needed it. But there were times when she needed killing. That's the strips of wood that you start a fire with.
Yeah.
I can remember her going out to the wood pile and cutting that killing like it wasn't nothing. Yeah, and I remember her during those years. Well, she had chickens, you know, running around, hens and stuff like that. And I can remember her going and getting the eggs. I can remember her going and catching a hen and putting it on a chopping block and
Yeah.
chop the head off, and then you dine sufficiently that evening. You know, I can remember those things. Yeah. But she was just a strong person. You know, she was a strong person. In fact, it was told that when she finally went down, she went down from a heart attack. But it was told to my mother and them by the doctor that she probably had 2 or 3 heart attacks and didn't know it.
Oh.
And the last heart attack she had, the only thing stopped her was the fact that she got out of breath. And we came over that evening, and she was sitting on the back porch. Back then, they always believed in porches. You know, she had a long back porch, a long front porch, and she was sitting on the back porch, just sitting there. And she said she was a little bit out of wind. And that was it. And they took her to the doctor and found out she had had a heart attack. And she never, you know, from that point on, she went from, you know, the heart attack, not slowing down in her walk, not being able to walk good, not being able to see, but always had a good mind. Always had a good mind. She could lay in there and listen to her TVs, shows, her stories, you know. She could tell you this is a good one went on. She couldn't see it, but she could tell you. And when you walked in there and said a word, she knew every one of her grandchildren, who they were. Yeah, she could tell you. Yeah, those are stories I remember of her. You know, and of course, taking care of me. You know, I ate so much peanut butter and apple butter. That's why I'm large now. I can't eat it now. Yeah, but I mean, she took care of us. Yeah.
Does she have any like recipes she used to cook for you or anything?
Maybe for my mother, but I was too busy out in the yard playing sports and, you know, baseball and basketball and football. The only thing I know it was good and I ate it.
Okay.
Whatever she ate, I mean, whatever she would fix, you know. Yeah, but she was in our life for a long time. All the grandchildren remember her well, and even the great-grandchildren remember her. Yeah, she's been gone a long time, but you still remember grandma, you know. Yeah.
Let's see. What do you think that today's generation is like yesterday's, I guess? Like
Nothing like it.
Okay.
Today's generation has missed out on a lot because there's a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And back then, even though there were ups and downs, even though there was some bad kids, if you want to call and use that word, mischievous kids, kids who got in trouble, it was still a village because my grandmother could tell any of us right from wrong, scold us. She never put her hands on us, but she could tell us right from wrong, and we better had listened to her. You understand? I mean, that's the way it was. And our parents expected us to listen to her, and our parents expected her to correct us when they weren't around. Our parents expected our aunts and uncles to correct us if we were doing something wrong. That was really the good generation, because you learn a lot of wisdom, because there were times when you did sit under her and listen to those stories. You know, the stories that how they grew up. But today's generation, they lost that opportunity, because, of course, you know, parents started having children earlier, at an earlier age. Younger parents grew away from the old heads that had the wisdom that could help them. I don't think it was done intentionally, but a gap developed, you know, and the gap just kept on getting larger and larger and larger until the connection was broken, communication was broken. And now we have children raising children. And if the children that's raising the children don't have an understanding of what life is, how can the children have an understanding of what life is? So we struggle. And we get rebellious. And actually we're reaching out, but we don't know where to reach to. We don't know who to reach for. So that's why we end up sometimes going in what we call the wrong direction. We get involved with the people that's in the streets, you know, that will stroke you, that will pacify you. You get turned into all different types of adjectives out there on the streets. You know, I don't need to call the name, but you know what I'm talking about. And then you have no one in the family strong enough to go out and pull that person back in, because all the person is asking for is help. They may be walking around with a lot of money in their pocket, driving a new car, but they're just as empty as they can be on the inside, because they don't have any direction in their life. So the older ones, we are fearful of them, because people don't, and when I say people, I mean especially young people, I guess it's maybe bad to say it, they don't value life like the old heads did. You live, back in the day, you live each day like it was the last day. You prepare for the future, but you always had in the back of your mind, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that, I need to do this, trying to develop a future. But nowadays, so many of our young people, they don't have a future, because there's no one there telling them, well, you can do this, or you can do that. And it's not intentional, it's just that we're so busy in our life. I'm busy.
Yeah, you are.
I'm busy, you know, and that was one of the things that concerned me with my daughter. I only had one child. I was the only child, and my mother and them treated me like that. And yeah, they spoiled me until I became an adult. When I went into teen years, my father stepped up and said, okay, now it's time to be a man. Not a little spoiled brat, but a man. So my mother and father made me a man. My daughter, because I was so busy, I spent a lot of time for her, but I reversed that thing quick. And my daughter and I, we are really super close. My daughter was married March 22nd. She lives up in, well, almost like going to Beaver Dam, a little place called Knoll. She and her husband are down, his parents. And she was, like I said, she was married March 22nd. I drive for Hanover County. When I leave the house between 7 and 7:15 every morning, I'm going to get a call from her, or I'm going to call her. That's every morning, you know, and it makes me happy, because I know that that connection is still there. You know, she picks my wife up, she's close to her mother. You know, she'll walk in the house and say, come on, Mom. And my wife don't even ask questions. She jump up, get the pocketbook, and off they go. You know, and she's close to my parents. And my wife's parents live in Culpeper, and she's close to them. Before she got married, she and my wife would go up and they would spend time. They still do that. Now, her husband has gotten involved with the family, and they go up. You know, so we're trying to keep that family connection there. And she knows that it doesn't matter what happened or how bad the situation is. I don't care what goes on. You let Daddy know what's going on. And if you're wrong, I'll tell you you're wrong, but I'll walk with you all the way. I mean, so she knows that. There's no fear of that. She doesn't have to say, oh, I can't tell Dad this, I can't tell Dad that. She knows that if she picks the phone up, it doesn't matter what the situation is, I'm going to be there. And that's something that I just tried to do because I'm my only child. And I don't want to disconnect. You know, I want us to be there because she doesn't have any kids, and I'm looking forward to being a grandfather. And I just hope I won't be too old and have dementia by the time she has her children, because I won't know who they are. But I tease her like that all the time. And she tells me, she says, well, I tell you what I do, Dad. I'll have them and you raise them. Oh, no. No, you take your time. When you're ready, you let me know. And then I'll play the grandpa role, you know. But that's the way. It is a difference. And we got so many young people out there that's losing their lives, losing their souls, because they don't have someone to reach out and grab them. And look, it don't have to be a relative. It can be a friend that will reach out and help them and help, you know, because some people do get closer to friends rather than the family. But then there's got to be a thing of trust. You know, I got to trust that you're going to help me and not just use me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our kids right now are hurting. And then when the government separated church and state, that blew the whole thing out the water. When it got to the point you couldn't say prayers in church in school, and they put restrictions on who God is or who the higher being is, everything went right on down the drain. And I'm not saying that every person got to be holier than thou, but I'm saying that every person ought to know who they are and where they came from. And that helps them to be stable, and they should know who they can go to when there is problems or when there's downtime, you know, when they're struggling. And I think that the government really, really ruined that when they separated that, you know, because all my life in school, we used to say a prayer and pledge allegiance to the flag and, you know, these type of things. But you can't say a prayer in school no more. So kids, if the parents don't take time with the kids and show the kids where they came from and who they are, then who's going to do it? 2/3 of your life, almost 2/3 of your young life is spent in school.
Yeah.
Right? Well, if you walk around in school and you become just a wall and there's nothing up there, then you'll be bored. You don't have nothing to talk about. You don't have nothing to hold on to. You know, when we get so mechanical, methodical, that all it is just go to school and study your lessons and go home. When people, you've seen events that happen around here in the schools in the last several years, tragic events.
Yeah.
Somebody reached for somebody, and somebody didn't take the time to maybe, I'm not saying that could have been prevented because we don't know what the future holds, but somebody was reaching and there was nothing to reach and grab onto. So they said, okay, I'll get a little attention. You know, and then what I'm doing, I'll take myself out here along with it.
Do you think there's any way that the connection can come back?
Come back? It can only come back when the adults realize that they can't be the best friends of their children, but be parents. And when the children realize that the parents are there to help them and not to hurt them, and sometimes say no, when that happens, then you can see unification in the families. But that's a long, hard road. Yeah. Yeah. It's a long, hard road. And then so many families separate, you know, and then people use that as an excuse, you know, because I only have a mother, I only have a father, you know, I can't do this or I can't do that. Well, I've been married 37 years. You know, loved every minute of it. Wouldn't have it no other way. My wife and I, we laugh. I laugh. I'm kind of a jokester. And I always tell my wife, I said, we the happiest poor people I've ever seen in my life. You know, because times have been hard. And I was at Rich Foods for 21 years. I was superintendent there, making good money. I left there, started having a little problem with my heart, left there and went in business for myself, worked 8 years with a contract with the government handling sick patients. Then I became a courier, you know, independent courier, driving all down through North Carolina, 400 miles a day. Now I'm driving for Hanover County, handling their kids that have been taken out of the system. You know, I go to Charlottesville twice a day. I leave here at 7 in the morning, get back at 10, leave at 1:45 and get back at 5:30. I'm taking kids up there to school in Charlottesville. 144 miles in the morning, 144 miles in the evening. You know,
What's that school?
it's Oakland Academy up on Union Mill Road in Charlottesville. And I think the kids have dyslexia,
Okay.
major, you know, reading problems and stuff like that. But I do that now. I did handle kids who had been out for violations like stabbing somebody or beating up a teacher or hitting a parent or drugs or something like that. I've handled kids who were on house arrest, had the bracelet on. You know, you take them out at a certain time, get them back at a certain time. My supervisor for the county, she calls me a gentle giant because the other drivers have so many problems. I don't have no problems. And it's not because of my size. I'm a little large. But it's not because of my size. It's because I try to take time with the kids. I try to talk to them and tell them that you don't have to be like this. And I've been pretty successful. And I'm not bragging. But you have to, I'm saying this because when I drive, you can't drive and your car is just out of control on the inside. The kids raising hell, you know, acting out. And because some of these kids are violent. Some of these kids, like I said, they don't respect life. They'll do something to you. You know, they'll try to hurt you if they can. So I have a lot of success with the kids. And I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing to make it like that, but I usually can start talking, a conversation with the kid, and the kid will calm right down, you know. And I don't have any problems. I guess that's why they let me, well, these kids I'm transporting not problem kids. They have special needs. But you know, I'm driving a long ways with somebody else's child in my car. That's a big responsibility, you know. So, but I enjoy it. I'll do it probably till I retire. Don't put that in the report. Yeah, but it's just that when we start valuing life more so, I think that we will all learn how to get along with each other. Because as you read in the news, man, a life can be taken snap of a finger and no one thinks anything of it. You know, and that's kind of bad. It's kind of bad. Don't you want to live to be 94, 95?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all realize somebody have to take care of us when we get that age, like I'm doing my parents, you know. But I want to see them live as long as they can. You know, I know that their level of life is going to decrease because of the health problems, but I want to see them here as long as they can stay here. Because I always joke, you're going to lay in that hole, in that grave, a lot longer than you ever walked this earth. So get the best out of it. Get the best out of it. Breathe this oxygen and enjoy yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I like that little joke. Let's see. I guess, so what was your education like?
Well, I went to, I went to a segregated school. I went to John M. Gandy.
Okay.
Out in Berkeley Town. You know, that's right out past you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, I went there. I graduated from John M. Gandy. And then I went to Smith Madden, which is no longer in existence, Smith Madden Business School in Richmond for 2 years. And then I went to the University of Richmond Night School for 2 years. And I went back to Smith Madden, being nosy. And that's where I met my wife at.
Okay.
I met my wife at Smith Madden. I actually went back looking for her friend, her girlfriend. And her girlfriend wasn't there. So I said, well, you'll do. And we started talking, and we started dating, and you know, I thought I was something else back then. And we started dating, and we dated for 6 months and got married.
Oh.
And we've been married for 37 years. And like I said, we've had ups and we've had downs, but boy, it's been a good time. We've enjoyed ourselves. Yeah, God has blessed us tremendously. I met her family. She has 2 more sisters and 2 more brothers. And her parents were much younger than my parents. See, I'm 60 and my father's be 93. My mother's 89, so you see that gap, almost a 30-year gap. Well, her mother was only 16 years older than she is. She's the oldest daughter. So they grew up close. You know, they grew up with their 2 baby brothers playing sports, you know, playing with Parks and Recreation. I got involved with that. I was the only child, so I kind of connected with them, and we almost became like brothers and sisters. We just that close. They call me now. I'm the oldest, so they call me now to ask questions. You know, if there's something going on. We do for her mother and father, both of their health problems. We go up there and check on them. But it's just been a good trip. You know, like I said, I've been blessed. I've done an awful lot of traveling. I've done an awful lot of traveling with her family, and then with my family. Her family traveled a lot. Her father was in the military. She was called an Army brat. And she lived in Florida. She lived in Texas, Philadelphia. She was born in Philadelphia, but they grew up in Spotsylvania. You know, and they just traveled, and I couldn't get used to that because I had not done that. My mother and father weren't into that traveling, that much traveling. The most that my mother and father did when I was coming up were to go up to Caroline County in August to the revival. And we would stay up there with his brothers or sisters, you know, for that week, and then come back. And then and in the summertime, my mother and I would go to New York on a train, catch a train out here and go to New York and stay with her aunt, her 2 aunts. We'd take turns. 1 week we'd stay with one aunt, 1 week we would stay with the other. But with my wife's family, they were travelers. They went everywhere. I mean, they just traveled. They went to Florida. We went to Canada. I mean, you know, we camped in Florida for 14 days in Winnebago. I mean, you know, we went on 3 7-day cruises, stuff I had never been on before.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I'm well blessed, because I've been able to see a lot and enjoy our life as we've grown together, you know. And we still just as happy-go-lucky.
Do you still travel?
When I can. It's hard to do it now with my mother and father. My wife does more than I do. She goes up and spends weeks at a time with her parents in Culpeper, probably 4 weeks out of each year. She'll go the week of Christmas, the week of Easter, and she works over in Henry Clay.
Okay. She's
paraprofessional aide for kindergarten. She's been there 22 or 23 years. And in the summertime, you know, she's off. So she goes up usually around end of June or 1st of July for a week, and then go again in August for a week. I used to go, but it's hard now. I can't leave my parents. They're at the stage now that they're forgetful to turn things off, cut the stoves off, you know, lock the doors, you know, stuff like that. So, and my wife understands it. You know, we have no problem with it. And I go up and spend when I can, but she know that I have to give my time to my parents. So, and I don't have a problem with that. I enjoy it. I still get around, still go. You know, I go for a day, go up in the morning, come back at night or something like that. But very seldom do I go and stay overnight now. Yeah. And also but the last 2 or 3 months, I'm now on a CPAP machine. See, my nose is bruised because I sleep on oxygen at night.
Okay.
I have to sleep on that. It's called a CPAP machine. I have sleep apnea.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have to sleep with that all night. And my oxygen level went down to 67%. Now it's up to 92%. So I'm just feeling great. You know, I'm just doing great. But I'm getting used to it. And that machine, you have to put that mask over your nose real tight. And it's now doing havoc with my nose. And I told my wife, I said, I've been so handsome over the years. Man, my nose is getting all scarred up. And she said, oh, you think so? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, like I said, I still enjoy what I'm doing. I stay busy. I stay doing something. You know, with the Traveling Jubilee Gospel Singers, I've been with them 27 years. Before then, well, I was playing R&B music from the time I was in like 10th or 11th grade until I got married. And when I got married, I realized that the streets was not for me. So I came in. And then several years later, I started playing gospels. I've been playing gospels ever since 73 or 74. And I've been with this last group 27 years. I think we've been singing 29 years. We do a lot of traveling. We've been slowing down, but there are times when we just go. You know, like not this coming weekend, but next weekend, we got to do 2 programs, Saturday and Sunday. You know, we don't used to do that. We're getting old. We slow it down a little bit. Yeah. But then I was into photography. I had a studio over here at the Arts and Activity Center, right on the railroad tracks up here. If you go up here past by the fire department, there's an old church there, a big church there. That's the Hanover Arts and Activity Center. I had a studio there for 5 years.
Do you still do any of that?
I do a little bit, not much now, but from 1970 to I guess 92 or 93, I did fairly well, but I had to give it up. It was getting on my eyes. I was having problems with my eyes, and I got a what you call the automatic focus camera. But if I would get through taking pictures, I'd see stars in that eye all for the next 24 hours.
Oh.
So I gave it up. And then I was working too. See, at that time I was working at Rich Food. Crazy hours. And then I went and joined the International Management Council. That's a management organization that all the big companies they join, and their supervisors and stuff go into it. You know, you get training, you go to seminars, and I was an officer in that. I was treasurer for that organization. For several years, I got awarded this Distinguished Service Award for the job that I had done. I didn't go out to do none of this. It just happened. I just happened to be in the right place at the wrong time. Yeah, but I've enjoyed. You know, I don't have no. I like to be a millionaire, but I don't. You know, that don't bother me. I'm rich in a whole lot of ways. You Lord have blessed me immensely. You know. Yeah, I'm chairman of the deacons here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other roles in the church?
I sang with the choir, and I used to play the bass guitar with the choir, but we have some young people now that can just play circles around me. So I just sit back and enjoy them. You know, I was a trustee. I was chairman of the finance department here, and for a number of years, and I learned the finances from going to business school. Accounting always was my thing. I just love to deal with figures. And then, like I say, I was treasurer for the International Management Council for a number of years. And then I came here and I worked in the trustee ministry. And then I became chairman of the finance department. I was secretary of the finance department and treasurer. And then I stepped up and I was ordained a deacon here. And now I'm chairman of the diaconate here. And this is my last year. We only serve 3 years.
Okay.
Then you rotate out, give the next man opportunity to step up. And like I said, I sang with the choir. I sang with the male chorus and the combined choir. And see, they do a lot of traveling. I mean, we do a lot of going to different churches and different programs. So I just stay busy. I get tired sometimes. But when I get tired, I've learned now to shut it down and regenerate, you know, get my strength back, and then I'm off and going again. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I asked you to call me.
Last night?
Because even though I keep a calendar, like when I get back from Charlottesville in the morning around 10, when I first go in, I'm gonna check on my parents, see if they need anything, see if everything all right. And then I usually just chill, sit back in the chair, lay down, something like that. And then I relax until time to go back out. And then usually when I'm on the way back in, I'll call and I'll ask my wife, okay, where am I going tonight? What am I doing tonight? You know, what I got to do? Yeah, because we rehearsal with the Traveling Jubilee Gospel Singers on Monday night. Now that rehearsal is up in Coatesville, up in Beaver Dam,
Okay.
St. James Baptist Church.
Okay.
Tuesday night is my free night. Wednesday night I have Bible study. The second and third, the fourth Thursday nights. Now this is a hobby. I play pinochle. I belong to a pinochle club.
What's Pinochle Club?
It's cards.
Okay.
Yes, it's cards. Yeah, it's like, you know, like bid whist and spades and bridge and all that kind of stuff. Poker.
Okay.
But we play pinochle, and then on Friday nights it's open unless I'm taking my wife up to her home for the weekend, and then we are followers of Patrick Henry's high school football team. That's another hobby. We last year we didn't make any games. That was the first year we hadn't made any games. We've been following them since 1982.
And you went to all their games?
I bet you we didn't miss, since 82, I bet you we hadn't missed 10 games. We travel to all the games, away games, home games, playoffs, whatever, we travel to them. Didn't make no difference where they were playing. I had that vein, I've had several veins, and I have several people who are seniors who like to go. I load them in the vein and we go.
Did your daughter go to Patrick Henry?
Yes, she graduated from Patrick Henry in 95.
Okay.
That's the year they won the state football championship. And she's the one that actually started us going, you know, because she was young and we would go to the games and stuff. But then when she graduated, of course, you know, she's on her own, you know, she lived at home with us, but she had her own life, but we still continued to go. So we just kept on going. We've been going every year. I mean, it'll make no difference. Snow, rain. If the game is going to be played, we're going to be there. Yeah,
True
we got all that
fans.
equipment. You know, we got all that equipment, all that rain gear, snow gear, and everything. I mean, but we didn't go last year. We had some health problems and some things was going on with my wife's mother, and we said, well, look, we gotta eliminate something for a while. So we eliminated the football. This year, we're going back to football. Yeah. But it's just something my wife loves football. You know, and we just enjoy going. It's just something that helps us to kind of calm down, because our weekends are always hectic. We are always busy. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always busy. I mean, it's just that we either have meetings here, either I'm with the Traveling Jubilees, either we up her home, or we're making sure my mother and them taken care of, you know, the house and everything's taken care of. And then on Sunday, we're in church Sunday morning, and a lot of times we have something to do on Sunday evenings. So a lot of people say they get rest on the weekend. I'll be tired when I go back to work Monday morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a little backwards, but you mentioned segregation.
Mm-hmm.
How did that affect your family?
Technically, not at all. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. When we first started traveling, my wife and I first got married. We got married in '71, and of course, if you want to really travel and enjoy yourself, you go to Florida. I mean, because there's so much in Florida to see. You know, Daytona Beach. We drove one day just down to Miami, just to drive through Miami and say we was in Miami. You know.
Did you help people with bills and stuff?
No, we don't.
All right, thank you.
All right. We get a lot of that. You know, people coming in asking for assistance. Now, what we do is we belong to an organization called Ashland Christian Emergency Association. Mm-hmm. It's ACES.
Okay.
And what we do is we send people to the police department, and then what they do is they give you a voucher, and if you like need gas or you need somewhere to stay, they will send you to ACES, and ACES will put you up for a night, give you breakfast, give you lunch, you know, and give you assistance. ACES also will have people who are having trouble with their prescriptions, you know, like you don't have insurance, something you need medication. You get a voucher from ACES, you take it to the drugstore. The drugstore will tell you how much your medicine costs. You take it back to ACES and they'll give you X number of dollars to help with your medicine. But we used to try to help people, but now you're just being bombarded with it. You know, people want you to pay their rent. You know, mostly it's rent, telephone bill, electric bill, and we don't have the funds to do it. And what happens is if you start one, you just get bombarded. And then the other thing is you have to have a system set up where you can weed out the ones who really need and the ones who are just taking advantage of the situation. Mm-hmm. So what I said to her was, no, it didn't. And sometimes people think, well, that's really abrupt. You know, that's hard. But that's the only way you can do it. Because first of all, we not full time. You know, we don't have anybody here full time. So we don't have a system set up where we can sit down with you, get you to fill out papers, and we investigate you. You know, to see if we can help you. So we have to say no. Now, if she had just stood there for a couple of minutes, when I said no, what did she do? She just turned and walked away. I could have told her to go down to the police department. Now, 9 times out of 10, they know what ACE is already. You know, and they know you can only go to the police department to ACES one time, and occasionally ACES will help you out a second time, but they're going to determine what your need is and whether you're really taking advantage of the situation. And believe you me, we have had people to take advantage of the situation. We have had people to come back, just continue to come back. And we've had people even get upset after they've been 2 or 3 times and we finally had said no. They get upset with you. Storm out the building, mad, you know. So we had just put that down and said, no, we don't do that. You know, we'll send you to the social services, can help you. A whole lot. People don't know that. But social services will do something for you. But they're going to investigate the situation first.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. But now you asked me a question before we got kind of off track there.
Oh, yeah, I was asking about...
Segregation?
Yes.
No, put it this way. In school, when I was coming up in school, it didn't bother me one bit because that's what I grew up in. I went to the 1st grade. We didn't have kindergarten. I went to the 1st grade, from the 1st grade to the 12th grade. You know, it was all black school, all black teachers. We didn't sit at home and talk about segregation. It was just a common knowledge that you knew it. I know I used to, when I first started driving, my coach used to let me drive his car down to Barnes' drugstore. You know what Homemade by Suzanne's is? Mm-hmm. Well, that used to be Barnes' drugstore. Okay. During those years. And they used to have a lunch counter. And I was 15 years old. And see, you could get your license when you're 15, but you couldn't drive by yourself until you were 16. You had to have an adult who had a license. But several of the teachers over at Gander, my coach especially, because I started playing football in 7th grade. Mm-hmm. I wasn't supposed to start playing until the 8th grade. But, excuse me, football and basketball, they claimed I was good, but anyhow. And he would send me, and some of the other teachers would send me down to Barnes's. They would get tired of school lunch, you know, banquet lunch, so they would send me to Barnes's because Barnes's used to have, some great food, you know. And they would tell me, when they would give me the orders, he had a Corvair. You ever heard of a little Corvair? It's a little small car. I couldn't get in it now, but it sat half size this table, a little 4-speed. And he would tell me, go down to Barnes's. I didn't know how to drive it. It was flow shift. I didn't know how to drive it. He said, well, this is your opportunity. I got in there, I learned how to drive the car by myself. I tore up his gears, put going first, going reverse, you know. But I used to go down there every day, my senior year, and buy their lunches. And whatever change was left, they would tell me to get something, because see, I would miss my lunch by going down there for them. And when we would go in the counter, into Bonds, there would be people sitting, you know, at the counter eating. Well, we knew, we understood, we couldn't sit down. But so I would go to the where you put your order in, you stand up, and you put your order in, and then I would stand there and wait for the order to be filled. And then I would, when I found out how much money was left, and it became a routine, I knew every day exactly how much money was going to be left and what I could order. And the lady was a real nice lady. She used to tell me, "You want the same thing today?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I do." Well, I know I couldn't sit down and eat, so I waited till I got back in the car. And then on the way back to school, had no business off the school grounds. I would drink my soda, eat my sandwich, and drive the car, going back to school. And that went on for, well, actually that went on, I started that in my junior year, and I went through the whole senior year doing this. And I used to go in there, and finally, one day, the lady told me, she said, "George," because she used to call me, I told her, she knew what my name was. She said, "While you waiting for your order, I'm going to give you your lunch now, and you sit down on that bench and eat your lunch." I said, "What?" "You sure?" You know, and I mean, because there are people that are eating, you know, but no one ever bothered you, you know. And I got old enough, and I sit down on the bench, and then every day she would fix me what I wanted. I'd sit on the bench and eat, and then when she got through with the order, she'd give me an order, and I'd take it on, and I never had a problem. But there was a sign there that says, "We have the right to refuse service to any customer." Well, everybody knew that sign meant blacks, African Americans. I mean, that's not high, that's the way it was. Across the railroad tracks, when you leave out here and go across the railroad tracks, the first building on your left is Drew Realty, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Well, that first building there used to be the old High's ice cream store. Do y'all remember old High's ice cream company? You don't remember High's ice cream store. Well, High's ice cream used to be the best ice cream selling place in the community. I mean, High's was the place. And we used to ride our bicycles down there. And we used to go in there and order cones of ice cream. And they had the same sign, you know, we have a right to refuse service to anybody. And we used to go in there and, see, it was 9 of us boys, grandsons. It was 9 grandsons and 4 granddaughters. Well, the one granddaughter was the second oldest, and then the 3 girls were much years behind us. So all the boys had bicycles. That's what we did in the evening, rode bicycles and all through the county. You know, we would ride down and get ice cream. And we knew when we went in there, that person had already told us, when you go in there, order your stuff, get your stuff, come on out of there. We didn't ever go in there. We never were people who would start a problem. I mean, and I got it's 3 boys that's older than I am. They're still living, you know. But we were always we were called the Hill Boys. When you go to my house, you going up the incline. Mm-hmm. When you pass the school here, you start up the incline. So the people in Berkeley Town call us the Hill Folks. You know, that was the nickname they gave us because we lived up on the hill. Uh-huh. But we never would start nothing. We never were people who would agitate or anything. We'd go in that store and we'd buy ice cream, and we'd get our cones of ice cream, get on our bicycles and go on, because we knew we couldn't sit down in there. You know, that basically the way it was. So what you did, you respected what you had to do, and you did it, and it never caused you no problem. I used to stand there and talk to the owner of the store. Mm-hmm. Never had no problem. The lady that Bonds never had a problem, you know. But that's the way we were brought up. I couldn't speak for anybody else, but that's the way we were brought up. We were brought up to respect our elders regardless. So it never bothered. It was there. We knew it was there. We knew if we made the wrong move, we knew there could be consequences. But we didn't look to do that So we just lived that life and enjoyed that life. It wasn't until I got married that I began to really see. Now, in '69, they integrated the schools. But in '71, my wife and I got married. And it was the early '70s, '73, '74, that we were able to begin to do a little traveling. And that's when I began to really see it in its better form. We were traveling down 95 to Florida. And when we left here, we set a game plan. The plan was, don't let the car go below a quarter tank of gas. When that car got to a quarter tank of gas, you get off the interstate and you get gas. Now, if it was more than a quarter tank, and you looked at the sign and you said, and you come to a service station and it said next service station 50 miles, 60 miles, you go in there and get gas. We didn't stop for gas at night. We made sure we had full tank if we were going to be driving in the night. And the way we started our driving in the night was we never started in the early evening, because we knew in the middle of the night you got to stop and get gas. We started later in the night. So when we started looking for gas, we would be coming into the AM of the morning. You know, you did things like that to make sure that, and then we made sure that, we tried to make sure that the service stations we stopped at were the big service stations, Shell, Exxon, Texaco, those big stations where everybody was stopping. And I'll never forget, I don't know, run them up or something. We were on 95 going to Florida, and when we looked up, we were just about out of gas. And I think the next service station was like 25 or 30 miles down the road. So we came to an exit, and it said gas, but just a sign said gas. Didn't say nothing, you know, where you get food, gas. So we came off the sign, and the sign pointed, and we went on down this road. Now we done gone 2 or 3 miles off the interstate, down one of these little country roads in Florida. And we finally came up to this little mom and pop gas station. I think it had 2 little islands, you know. And when we pulled in, it was 6 of us. It was 3 couples. And we pulled in. There were some gentlemen sitting out on the street, you know, country. You know, just like give you an example. My family lives in Culver. It's up near a little place called Brandy. When you go through Brandy, it's like old town country. You know, you got the little mom and pop store, got the little bench where people sit outside, you know, but the only difference is now anybody sit outside, you know, but this particular was some men sitting there. So we pulled in, and we got out, and well, we didn't get out. The driver got out, and we said, look, man, fill this thing up so we can get back on the road. And he went inside to pay the man for the gas. And back then, you didn't pump the gas, you paid for it, and then you pumped it. See, that changed over the years, see?
Yeah.
Well, the gentleman told him, we don't have any gas. So we took him for face value. The guy come on back out. He said, man, we got a problem here. He said, we getting low on gas. And this gentleman said, he ain't got no gas. Well, we sitting there getting ready to leave, and another car pulls in. And it was a white person. Got up, went in the car, went in, paid for the gas, came back out, proceeded to pump his gas. He just said, we don't have no gas. So the guy driving, he was kind of a quick-tempered guy. He worked for the post office. He wanted to know what was going on. I said, man, you ain't coming down here in no Florida, get me down here and get me in trouble. He went back in and questioned the guy. The guy told him, said, we only selling the gas I only sell gas to my regular customers. That's what he told him. So we got back in the car and we left. We didn't say anything, we didn't fuss, we didn't, you know, we just said, okay, let's go, we gotta get some gas. We was lucky enough to get back on the interstate, and we were lucky enough to get to the next station on fumes. And we remember then, don't do that no more. Get that gas while you need it, you know. But you know, those kind of things happened, and that was the first of us actually being involved in you know, in what you would call, I would say, segregation or things that weren't done right, you know, and then it happened to me and my wife in Culpeper, when my wife personally back. It was having the gas wall. I don't know, I know y'all don't remember no gas wall. Where you, on odd days, you could get gas if you had even license number. If you had an 8, the last number on your license was like an even number, 2, 4, 6, 8. You could get gas on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. If you had an odd number, 3, 5, 7, you could get gas Monday, Wednesday, or Friday.
Okay.
So you had to remember to get your gas the day that you could get it, or you would be out of gas.
When was this?
Oh, this was in, what I said, let me see, I was driving. I would say maybe the 70s, I think, or 80s. When at that time, gas was in high demand. There was claiming that there was no gas.
Okay.
I mean, the government, you know. So they put everybody on I think it was on Sundays, you could get, I think on Sundays, I believe, if I remember correct, on Sundays, anybody could get gas. But on those other days, you had to do it according to the last number of your license plate. So you better keep it on your license plate. And we went to, the same thing happened in Culpeper. I was up in Culpeper. Now I had enough gas to get back to Ashland. But you know how sometimes you don't feel, you just want to make sure you got enough.
Yeah.
And gas was dirt cheap then.
Yeah.
So I pulled up in the service station because this was the day I could get gas. It was a Saturday, and that was the day I could get gas. I pulled up in the service station to get gas, and I pulled up, and the gentleman back then, see, people used to come out and pump your gas. You didn't pump your own gas a lot. Sometimes you pumped, and sometimes people would come out the store and pump your gas. They had a attendant. And the guy came up and said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Well, I want to fill this thing up." He said, "Well, I'm sorry. He said the same thing, we don't have any gas." But I said, okay, I didn't think of it, because I knew I could get back to Ashland. I'm getting ready to start up to pull away, and another lady, a white lady, pulled up to the tank. And she was a resident, because he knew her. He went right to her tank. I'm pulling out, looking out, he went, popped the cap and started pumping gas. I backed up. He got no gas. Well, she's a regular customer. And we only selling gas to our regular customers. And said a word, got him, pulled on up, came on home. Yeah, didn't think none of it. I mean, yeah, of course we thought some of it, but it wasn't enough for me to run my blood pressure up.
Yeah.
You know, to worry about it, you know. But those are some of the things that I remember going to Standard Drugstore in Richmond, on Broad Street. Used to be a Standard Drugstore, and with my mother. My mother worked in Richmond. My mother retired. She was a histology supervisor for the Chief Medical Examiner's Office for the state of Virginia. Worked there over 30 years. And I used to go down there sometime, and when I got older, I worked down there part-time. But I used to go with her, and we used to come up, you know, during those years, Broad Street was a thing in Richmond. I mean, if you didn't go on Broad Street in Richmond, something was wrong with you. I mean, because that was everything was there. Tall Handlers, Miller and Rose, Standard Drugstore, J.C. Penney's, I think, was there. I mean, that was the store. That's where everybody shopped on Broad Street, you know. And we went in Standards, and we during those years, those early years, we had to go to the counter, and we could order, and they had the best hot dogs. And we used to order hot dogs and French fries, and we would be standing here eating the hot dogs and French fries, and the other people would be sitting right there eating and enjoying themselves. We'd be standing up eating. And then they had, one time I think they had a serving thing in the basement, I think it was, you know, where we had to go to eat at. Now that changed dramatically because they boycotted it, you know. They had the boycott. They decided, okay, we're gonna come here every day. Now, that type of boycott, usually the boycott is when you don't. But what they did was, the students got together, and they said, we're coming here every day, and we're gonna bombard you. Until finally they just said, go ahead and sit down, you know, enjoy yourself, and that's basically how that happened. But they used to have the best hot dogs. I can remember the hot dog right now. You got me hungry. I can remember it because it was, and I mean it was good food, you know. But I mean those are some of the things. But I was lucky. I was not in the situation where some people were, who really went to what you call severe segregation. You know, some lost their lives, got beat up. We never had that around here. I think one evening, years ago, somebody said, I don't know how we found it up on the hill, because we lived up on the hill, so we didn't get much information. Somebody said the KKK had come into Ashland. It used to be a shell station right on number 1 highway, right there where the Rite Aid is. Mm-hmm. It used to be a shell station there, and said the KKK had come in there. And all the older black men that was in their teens and their 20s proceeded to go down there. We never heard no more of it. It just dissipated, just went on away. Just like that, just disappeared. We don't know what happened. There was no riot, there was no fighting, but we never heard of it anymore, you know. That was the only time I ever heard that. I worked at Royal School Laboratories up there near where Best Products used to be. You go up Road 1, and there it's, I can't think of the place. It's a big building up there.
Supply room?
Supply room. Well, next to the supply room used to be a place called Royal School Laboratories. They made the desks for schools. You see the cement, the hard marble desks. Mm-hmm. And I worked there in summer jobs. And we had a problem with the bathrooms. Somebody marking the bathrooms and trying to scare us off. A couple of nights, we would be right out there in the middle of the warehouse and the lights would go out, just cut right off. But we learned that when the lights went off, you drop to the floor and you roll on your machine. Don't move, because no one could see you. As long as no one could see you, nothing could happen to you, you know. But that went on, and that was in the place of business where we worked at. Yeah, I mean, that happened several times. We would be working. I worked on what you call a glue reel. I used to glue the sections together, and then it would spin. Big wheel would spin, and you just press the button and stop, and it would, you know, glue the things together. And you'd be working, and we learned to take flashlights. We bought flashlights, little flashlights, keep them in our pocket. And then we realized that when you turn the flashlight on, you're giving yourself away. So lights would go out in the building, and as soon as the lights go out, we would just hit the floor on our stomachs and slide on your equipment and just stay right there. You would not move. And then in a few minutes, you hear the supervisor coming through, cutting the lights back on, telling them, okay, you know. Now we don't know who did it. We don't know whether it was a gag or whether it was just trying to scare us. But that would happen on occasions. But it wasn't something that happened all the time. It would happen on occasion. It never made anybody quit the job. We still continue to work.
Were you scared to go to work?
I mean, you know, truthfully speaking, we weren't. We kind of thought it was somebody was pulling a gag on us, mm-hmm. But we never heard of anybody getting fired. We didn't think the supervisor would be stupid enough to do it because that would slow down your production, yeah. Your productivity. But we would, it would happen, and we would go in the bathroom. There'd be flyers all up on the wall, telling us where to go and to get out. You know, we look at them, use the bathroom, come on up. You know, and didn't pay attention to them, and never had a problem. No one ever harassed us. No one ever came at us. It was just those little things that happened. But no, you learn from instinct to go where you knew it was safe to go, and where you didn't think it was safe, you use your first instinct. If you didn't think it was safe, you don't be a fool. You just move on. And I never really had a direct problem, you know. I mean, I've seen it. I have seen it. Even at Richfield, I think I saw it. What you call it? What do you call it when it's low key, under the table? Like, you know, you might feel that you're up for a promotion. You worked hard for it, and then all of a sudden, boom, somebody else get it, and then that person got to come to you, so you can help them through the job. You know, that's the kind of stuff that we went through. Yeah, and then down the road, maybe a year or so down the road, that person would finally fall flat on his face or move on, and then you would be offered the job. But you wouldn't be offered it at the money that they were being made, you know. But it still never did cause me to have be angry or have animosity or something like that, you know. And if it come directly at me, then I would have to protect myself. But other than that, it just went on. That's where we grew up, you know. Yeah, and that's why I don't, I don't hold grudges. I can't live like that. You know, I know what the history is. I know because my mother and father told me. I know because I experienced some of it. But I live for the day. Get time for that stuff. You know, I really don't. I tell people. I tell my daughter. I never drilled nothing in her head. I just always told her to look up for yourself and take care of yourself, and you will slowly learn through your own experiences. You know, what is and what is not, and that's where she grew up. Yeah. That's all I can say.
Okay. Did y'all ever take the train?
Oh yeah, I used to take the train to New York every year with my mother. I was about 10 or 11 years old. I used to go to New York, and we would go up and visit my aunt, my great aunt, and my two great aunts and my two great uncles in New York City. My aunt, one of my great aunts, owned a little store, you know, a little mom and pop store up in New York. Let me see, I don't know if you ever looked at any of the TV shows that from way back, and you see the people sitting on the steps, and you have the kids play in the streets.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that much traffic, and then right across the street there was a little store. That's just the way it was when I used to go up in actual life in New York.
In New York? New York City or New York?
New York City.
Oh.
Yeah. New York. Yeah. Every year my mother and I went up there, and we would stay 2 weeks. And my aunt Addie owned a store, and it would have just a little novelty items in it: candies, cigarettes, sodas, toys, and you could go in there and get what you want to get, you know. And of course, when I went up there, I was the great nephew visiting, and I had to run the store. I could get anything, and it cost me nothing. Candy, man, what you talking about? And it was right across the street from her home, from her house. Her house was, you go up like 7 steps into her, and there were row homes, you know, that joined together. And then right across the street, the sidewalk was very wide, just like the city sidewalks, real wide. And this was in Harlem, by the way. This was in Harlem, New York. And you go across the street to the store, and she'd open the store up in the morning, and she'd stand at the door and talk to the people when they come by. And, you know, people would come in there and buy a few things and go, and I would go in there, and she would let me go in there. I can remember that just like yesterday. I mean, we'd go in there and eat and have a good time. And I met some kids that lived up there, you know, and they'd come down, and we would hang out on the streets together. Wasn't much traffic then, so you could play in the streets. You know, if you saw a car coming, you just get out the way. You know, you can't do that now, but yeah, but that's the way it was. And we used to get on the train here, right here in Ashland. That's when that station was open, and we used to go to New York, and the train ride used to be a lot of fun. And basically, now during those years, you stayed on, you know, you blacks had a coach, and whites had a coach, and you stayed on your coaches. But we didn't ever think about nothing like that. You know, that was a seat for us to sit in. It was a comfortable ride. We looked at the same window. You know, it was just fun to see, see where you're going up there. And I hadn't ridden a train for many, many years until 99, I think it was. I went on a 7-day cruise, my wife and I and a group of us, and we rode the train from Richmond down to Miami. I think we rode the Silver Star going down, the Silver Street coming back. I swear I'd never ride a train no more in life. That was the worst ride I ever had in my life. Well, it was just, well, the train was late getting down there, first of all. And they was nice enough to hold the ship, because, you know, you don't usually hold those ships up.
Yeah.
But there were so many people on that train that were scheduled to go out, so they held the ship up. And then the same thing, when we went back when we went back to the train station coming back, the train was 4 hours late getting into Miami, and they had to hold that ship up too. And then on the return, when you get to Miami, you basically at the end of the line. Now it does go on down into Florida Keys, but the main spur ends in Miami. So the train goes into this big pavilion, this big garage, and it's washed, clean, and restocked, you know, and then it's headed back north. And when we got on the train, the porter came through, and he announced that we were running like 3.5 hours behind schedule, and they had to make most of the time up between Miami and Richmond. See, because the tracks are wide open, you know. Once you leave Richmond, you in the city, you can't run that speed. And I tell you what, that night, when we got to Richmond, we were on a half an hour behind schedule. They announced we were half an hour behind schedule. The train was heading for Boston. And I thought the train was going to take wings coming back that night. That engineer, either he was drunk or he just was out of it. He didn't know the train was going that fast. But we had to pull the curtain down because we was passing objects so fast, you know. And my mother-in-law, I'll never forget, she pulled the curtain down because she couldn't stand looking out the window no more. And of course, once it got dark, you couldn't see, you could only hear. And that train was rolling. Mm. And I remember when we got back to Richmond, I said, no more. No. But it was a nice drive. We played cards in the club car, you know. But you try to get them to walk down the aisle, man, the train be throwing you all around, you know, because it's going so fast, you know. But that had been years. I had been you know, between the time I did it when I was a little boy to an adult. So yeah, I've been on trains. So, you know, been to we rode one day up to Grand Union Station in Washington. A bunch of us went up there from here, caught the train here, and went up there and just spent the day in the station all day. Because they got stores in the station, they got restaurants in the station. A few of them went out and did some sightseeing. But we just hung around up in the station and caught the train back here. Yeah. Just to say we did it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to ask this, but the college, how does that?
How was the college?
I mean, do you think it affects the community, or is it a good thing?
Well, I'm sure it has brought finances to the town. You know, I'm sure it has been a financial asset to the town. Not only because of the taxes, but because the kids shop, they buy their beer here. And I mean, they shop and they buy the U-Crops, they go to all the stores, Walmart, you know. It has to be a financial asset for the town. You got that many kids here, and they all, you know, we have some of them even come here. They come here. We had 6 young men here last Sunday. Dean Keith, Anthony Keith, do you know him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's deacon here. He's vice chairman of deacons here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He works with organization. I think these gentlemen go out and do community work or something like that.
Brothers for Change?
Yeah, Brothers for Change. Yeah, 6 of them was here not last Sunday, Sunday before last. And they were just in the service. But throughout the years, we've always had students, white and black, come here. Some Sundays we feed them, you know, because we understand that I think the cafeteria closes at a certain time on Sunday or something like that.
I think it's the same.
It's the same, okay. But anyhow, we fed them here or something like that, you know, after church, just with the kids. This started back there, I'm gonna say in the late 70s or 80s. My cousins, the girls I was telling you about, that were the youngest of my other grandchildren, they had friends. They had friends who lived here who met friends over around Jamaica, and they started coming here regular on Sundays. I'll tell you one, for instance, Jerome Ross, Reverend Dr. Ross, who teaches over at the college.
What's he teach?
Teach, I think, religion, some type of religion. Mm-hmm. He came from from Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology on the campus of Virginia Union.
Okay.
He taught that for years. He's about 6'7", 6'8", African American. Got a little bush. Y'all have seen him probably over there.
I
Yeah.
think so.
He teaches religion, some type of religion over there now. He graduated from Randolph-Macon.
Okay.
He was with Randolph-Macon. He played basketball for Randolph-Macon. He and a fellow by the name of Fletcher Johnson, who coaches now, I think. Fletcher had a little stint with the pros for a while. But this gentleman and another guy named Mike Love, they played basketball for Randolph-Macon. And we used to go over to see Randolph-Macon play. And the year, I think Paul Webb was the coach then. The first time and the only time that they ever played Georgetown University, they beat them. They beat them by 2 points, 1 or 2 points. And Georgetown University had guys 6'8" and 6'9". And they played right here at Randolph-Macon. And Randolph-Macon upset them. But they were national ranked when they came in here. And they had just, somehow, Coach Webb, I think, had got them on the schedule, you know. And they came in here, of course, thinking that, oh, we could just blow these guys off the court. And Randolph-Macon upset them that year. So they did. Yeah. And it started then. So ever since then, kids have been coming over here for Sunday morning services. Then every time we want to have a program, we usually have it at Blackwell Auditorium. I've been there many times with many groups, you know, many organizations performing there, participating there. It has not. I've heard, you know, young people. I say y'all young people. I've heard that there have been some problems with the private homes that the young people live in the neighborhoods. Music a blare, drinking, and stuff like that. But it has not bothered me. I mean, it hasn't bothered me. You know? I go through there, and my aunt lives in Berkeley Town, and I have several cousins that live over there. And it doesn't bother me. You know, I mean, I've never had that much involvement personally with anybody, you know, other than hear what other people have said. You know, and like I said, the most that I've ever heard is that sometimes where the kids live off campus in their homes, in the community, there's some disturbance there. You know, and which it shouldn't be, because I think you should respect my home and I respect your home. But when the music get up too loud and the drinking is going on too much, or the carousing is going on too much, then I think there should be a stop to that. There shouldn't be no question. That automatically should be, authority should automatically stop it. Because it's a respect issue. You know, if you got 2 old people or 2 seniors living on this side of you, and you got a bunch of young people, the young people should be able to have themselves a good time and enjoy themselves, but not when it flows over on these people who become scared, who are seniors, maybe, who are retired, who don't want to hear that. So I think the college should really look at what they're doing when they buy these homes and put these young people in. And that's not speaking against the young people. Either govern what's going on and have someone in that home that will speak up and say, we can't do this, but we can still enjoy ourselves. You know, but as far as me, you know, I live on a hill. See, I live around 2 cemeteries. Everything quiet up there.
That whole people being
That's right.
for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I live right next to Shabo Baptist Cemetery and the Woodlawn Cemetery. So I don't have a problem with noise. Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any other stories that we should
No.
know about?
I think I've talked out. I don't really have I've been living in Ashland all my life. This has been my home church all my life. I don't believe in running from one place to the other. I believe in, if there's a situation, make it correct and go on and live. That's just where I am. I don't believe in trying to be like the Joneses. I'm me, myself, and I. I don't like to try to imitate anybody. Here I am, this is me. When I'm told by my family or my wife that there should be some corrections, I make the corrections and keep on going. That's where I am. I try to enjoy my life, try to get the best out of it. But at the same time, I know how I got here, and I know who's keeping me here, and that's the good Lord. That's where my blessings are. And when you don't know that, you got a problem. You got a problem. Now, I'm not saying everybody got to be holier than thou. I'm not saying everybody got to believe in God, but I'm saying that if you don't know who you are and where you're coming from and where you're going, then you have a problem. Now, you're not going to always make it to where you want to go, but at least give it a shot. Give it a shot. And then when you don't make it, you don't have to feel bad. You know you did your best. Yeah, it means a lot. Take you into senior years, you know, take you into to them old years where you can sit back with your children and your grandchildren and tell them those stories. You know, when I leave here, I'm gonna tell my daughter that I had an interview today. You know, I don't know why y'all want to interview me, but I'm here. I've been here in Ashland all my life. I don't plan to go anywhere. I mean, one day I will, but I don't plan to go anywhere as of right now. I've been involved with a lot of Ashland community projects that they ride the show that they have every year. I think I've only missed one, I believe. I've been in every year, you know. There are some years that I've been tired and I just didn't put my energies in it, so I didn't get into many acts, and I really pulled back on that. I only now get into maybe one or two different projects, you know, when they have it. That's to save me, save my stress level, you know. But again, God blessed me with a little bit of a talent. And it's a saying, if you don't use your talent, you'll lose your talent. So use what you got to the best of your ability, and then go ahead and keep on getting on. I mean, that's the way I live. Everybody tell you that. I try to be forthright. I'm not going to tell you a lie if I can help it. I'm going to tell you, you know. I'm going to try to always tell you the right way. Tell you, and I'm not perfect by no means. I've had my ups, I've had my downs. But if you come to me and ask me a question, I'm going to try to give you the best answer I know. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to try to go and get it and come back and give it to you. And I feel that the best thing to be able to say it to a person is, if you don't know, say it. I'm not going to try to impress you by giving you something that you can't use or get you in trouble. If I don't know it, I'm going to say I don't know. You know, and that's my philosophy. I didn't sit down and say, okay, now George, what you could do this with your life? Everything that's happened to me and everything that everybody, because a lot of people come to me to talk, and I just let it flow. I just talk. You know, I just talk. And when I'm finished with the conversation, I don't look back. I go on. Yeah. And I say, you can come back anytime. Still don't understand why y'all want to interview me, but
We've learned lots of stuff today.
yeah. But life is fun. Life is enjoyable if you control it. That don't mean you're going to be rich. That don't mean you're going to be a success at all times. But always try to be in control of what you do. Be man enough, be woman enough to be in control. And if you know that somebody's leading you down the wrong road, if you know what you're doing ain't exactly right, have guts enough to let your first instinct be your best instinct and say, I'm not going to do it. Don't try to impress anybody. That's right. That's what I live by. Yeah. People will respect you down the road far more when they say, I don't have to worry about so and so and so, because he's going to tell me just the way he think it is. It may not fit me at the moment, but he's going to tell me. He ain't going to pass by me. He's going to say, well, you can go ahead and try that. I'm gonna say, no, I don't think you should do it. And let you be the judge. If people would do that more and stop playing games, if people would do that more and stop sticking pacifiers in adults' mouths, if adults would start acting like adults instead of being adults with childlike mentalities, this world would be so much better. Because sometimes we got adults who try to act younger than the children. And if that's the case, then what the children gonna do? Nothing. They lost. You know. I mean, that's just the way I feel. But people say I'm sort of mentally ill, so.
People really say that.
Oh, they tease me all the time. They say my elevator don't go all the way to the top. You ever heard that? Well, if the elevator don't go all the way to the top, that means you ain't straight. Yeah. But I don't let that bother me, see, you know. People say, you crazy. I say, yeah, but I'm a good crazy. Yep. Yep. And I just enjoy myself. And I really believe God has blessed me to have decent health. You know, I stay under a lot of pressure. I mean, I stay under a lot of pressure. And sometimes I just go in the room and sit down and just take 10 minutes to just sleep and just clear my mind. But I try not to let the pressures get to the point where it started affecting me physically and my health. You know, because I am a risk. I have a rhythm. I take medications for my heart. And basically, I had a catheterization done year before last, and they found no blockages. I weighed 349. And that is very unusual. So I know God has blessed me. I mean, I could have angina, I could have cardiac, I mean, I could have, congestive heart failure. I don't have any of that. Now, I'm not on wood. I'm not bragging. I know that I've got to learn as I get older to take care of myself better. But I believe God has blessed me a whole lot. He has blessed me a whole lot. And because I see people who are very much more small than I am, my age, and they're not here. They're gone. They're having all kinds of health issues, you know. And I'm not having those health issues. But now I'm not saying down the road it's not going to happen. But I believe that that He's looking out for me real well. So I give and I give and I give. And when I get tired of giving, I go to sleep. And I get rest.
And then you wake up and give some more.
And I go somewhere. Usually I can't sleep the next time I want to sleep because somebody calling me. Or my wife reminding me, you know, you got to do this, you got to do that. Because she keeps my calendar too. We have a calendar on our door in our bedroom. She said, you know, you got to go here today, you got to go there today, you got to do this. And she supports me. She fusses sometimes. She tell me I do too much. My mother also tell me, you better slow down. You know, and I do that. I take that. You know, I don't just let it go over my head. I take it because they can tell when I'm getting kind of out of sync, you know. So then I regenerate. I sit down, I relax, then I get up and I'm ready to go again. Yep. And then sometime I have had some years that I totally pulled away, 3-4 months at a time. I didn't let nobody get in my way. I did exactly what I wanted to do and got myself, my health and everything back in order, and got my mind back together and got my strength back. And then I started back. I still did what I had to do, but I did it in a low-key manner, you know. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to save yourself. When you ain't got no sense to do that, that's when you get in trouble. Yep. So I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I still don't know why y'all interviewing me. Who gave you my name to interview?
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I thought I told you this, but I guess I should have said it more clearly. Our class, we have a FYE, which is first year course, and we're going to do the 150th anniversary of Ashland.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So our teachers, professors, found people throughout the community and We got your name.
Yeah, my name, okay. Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate that. I thank you for thinking that much of me to want to interview me. My mother, who's 89, who is not up to that now, has been interviewed an awful lot.
Oh.
She is in the, if you were to go to Cross Brothers, the Ashland book, they have a book on at the counter where you check out.
Uh-huh.
It's called the Ashland book. If you got that book and look through it, you would see a whole lot of my family history in that book. My mother put it in there. They interviewed my mother. My mother's been interviewed by like several different people who have been putting together books. Roseanne Shaft, she interviewed for that book, the Ashland book.
Yeah, we had to read a section from there.
My mother, Ines Gray, she put a lot of information. And then this new, the Ashland book that's down at Cross Brothers, it's being sold. There's a lot of pictures and write-ups she put in that book. And let me see, and she's been interviewed by several other people. She has given an interview at the library. She gave a talk at the library.
At our library or at the Pamunkey?
At the Pamunkey.
Okay.
She gave a talk there. Unfortunately, right now, she forgets a lot. It's not that she forgets, she can't remember names real good. So I see the stress when she's trying to do it, you know. So she's kind of pulled away from doing that. But and then I took the ball up because I love history, and we've been doing a lot of research with my family history, and I have done a lot of research with the young lady driving that car there. Her name is Jody Allen. That's Anthony Keith's wife.
Okay.
Yes, she's a Dr. Allen. She has a doctor's degree. She teaches down at William & Murray.
Okay.
She's a secretary here at the church, and she teaches 3 days. She's not teaching now; they're finished, but she teaches 3 days a week down at William & Murray. They live here in Ashland, and she is the archivist here for Shiloh, and I'm the historian for Shiloh.
Oh, okay.
So we've done a whole lot of research. The yearbook that the town of Ashland is putting together, there's a big yearbook. Well, this is what you're working on, right? The yearbook? Okay, well, they're working on a big yearbook for the town of Ashland. My grandfather's small history is in there. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, my mother's family, and I in there. And then we did the write-up for the church and the cemetery, for Shiloh and the cemetery that's up there. If you go out here and turn right, you go up, you'll see the Shiloh Baptist Church Cemetery. We put that write-up, all that's going to be put in that book.
Okay.
Yeah, we did the write-up for that. So that's why I think people have kind of grabbed me, because they know I've been doing a lot of research and trying to get a lot of history on, you know, like I said, I love history though. I mean, it's nothing like learning your roots. Who are you? You don't know your roots, you know. And people say, well, I don't want to learn my roots because there are some bad things in my family, or there are some bad people in my family. Oh, I got news for you. There's bad in every family. If we were perfect, we'd be out of here. We wouldn't be here. Wouldn't be no need to live. We never will reach perfection. So every family got some highs and got some lows. You take it with a grain of salt, and you go ahead. You don't condemn. Because if you condemn, you're condemning yourself. That's your family. I mean, so I got an alcoholic cousin. Big deal. You know, I got a cousin that was strung out on drugs. Let's try to help him. You know, we may not be successful, but at least give it a shot. You know, I got some crazy people. That's all right. I'm crazy. You know, I see you. I mean, if we would think like that, we could come together. You know, my family several years ago started having the little family reunions. But my mother's family is a small family. My wife's family, they got people all over the United States. And they have taken the home place in Culpeper, and they have refurbished it. Beautiful. And then my wife's parents live one house from there. And they have the family reunions. And they may have 300 people those people come in from all over the United States in the summer on the weekend. They get hotel rooms at at the Holiday Inn. Oh man, they have the best time. They respect each other. There's not a lot of alcohol and all that stuff there, but they have all this food. They meet each other. They learn who the young people are. The young people get a chance to meet the seniors. You know, they really know how to put together a family reunion. And like I said, they start on a Friday night and they end up on a Sunday evening. They have what you call get acquainted on Friday night. They have the big reunion on Saturday. Sunday morning they have the brunch, and then most of the people are spreading out, getting out there, leaving, going back to their different homes. And they invite everybody. They don't exclude nobody. And everybody come and have a great time. I tell you, I love that family to death. I mean, they're what you call a real family. And they have their ups and they have their downs. But they are family. And sometimes they can wring each other's necks, but they are family. You know, and when people get the chance to learn how to do that, it can be 10 people in a family and you can have a good time. It can be 200 people in a family and you can have a good time. It's what you bring to the table. If you don't bring nothing to the table, you ain't gonna take nothing from the table when you leave. Right? Right? If you get together, it's just like your organizations or at the school. Mm-hmm. If you're all in an organization and 10 of you all sitting down and 3 of y'all doing the work, why are the other 7 there? So you guys speak up and say, hey, y'all gotta get on the ball here, do something. You know, or you gotta step off. When we learn to do that, then we become better. And it's not being hard, it's not being mean, but it's just calling it like you see it. Yep. Like my mother said, let the cookie crumble where it falls. Fall where it crumble, one of them. You know, but what I'm saying is, just be real. Just learn to be real, be yourself. You ain't got to press nobody. I told my daughter when she met her friend, they dated for 10 years and they got married. They were engaged for 5 years and they got married. And I told her, I said, you don't have to impress anybody. Be yourself. And that way there's no surprises. Teach him to be himself. And that way there are no surprises. And for God's sake, if you find out you can't make it, separate. Go on about your business. But respect each other. Don't ever try to hurt each other. And don't try to show him a picture of you that's not true you. You know, just be yourself. And you'll go a long way. And she is definitely herself. You know, yeah. But that's the way I live, and I'm not perfect. But do the best I can. But I don't know what else.
Oh, well, you're good. I was just listening.
Well, I just enjoy talking. I have a gift of gab. Yeah. But it is. I am who I am. Can't be nobody else. Yeah. That's why I still don't know why y'all want to interview me. Yeah. But I hope it helped you. I hope it gives you what you want. What are you planning on doing with this, may I ask?
Well, the tape's going to go to the archives upstairs in the library, and you can go there and listen to it if you like.
I can be in the library. I can listen to myself.
And we're going to actually have a presentation on it next Friday. And
I should have been more professional. Why didn't you tell me that? I could have started using different words and vocabulary.
Well, they won't hear all of this.
Oh, thank you.
I'll just take like a little section out of it.
All right.
I'll get the most professional one out. And I don't know what else we're doing with it.
Well, I hope I helped you. I don't know what I did, but I hope that you got what you needed. And when I become a great-great-grandfather, I'm going to take my great-great-grandchild over to Randolph-Macon and say, listen to your great-great-grandfather.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay.
When I'm 90 years old, and I won't be able to remember this, I have to write it down on a piece of paper, take my little great-great-grandchild over to Randolph-Macon and let him hear my interview. How is that? That'll work?